day is it?
It's October 3rd.
Ah, right. Hey everyone, I'm Abbey Sharp. Welcome back to Abby's Kitchen. I've been a dietitian on social media for over a decade, and I have seen some influencers giving some seriously unhinged nutrition advice to the masses. It sometimes feels like the limit does not exist when it comes to their baseless claims, and I have made it my mission to call out the grifters and charlatans who may be doing more harm than good. Janice Ian said it best.
There are two kinds of evil people. People who do evil stuff and people who see evil stuff being done and don't try to stop it.
I'm not perfect. Obviously, I make mistakes too. But I am doing my damn best job to be part of the latter. And even though admittedly I get a little bit sassy sometimes, I am honestly not a mean girl at heart. I actually have a ton of empathy for these people who I see as victims of diet culture themselves. But repeat offenders who continue to spread problematic misinformation despite being consistently corrected by the science community, straight to the Dietitian's Burn Book.
Right to jail, right away.
So let's take a look at some of the most notorious wellness myths and misinformation perpetrators online. I'm so excited about my sponsor today, so let me tell you about Nourish. As a dietitian, you know I am all about getting one-on-one RD support over following advice from like random influencers online. But I get messages from a lot of you that you've struggled to find an RD that will accept your unique insurance plan, which is really why I recommend Nourish. Nourish is really an easy way to find a registered dietitian and get it covered by your insurance. They accept hundreds of insurance plans in all 50 US states, with 94% of their patients paying $0 out of pocket. They also have RDs who specialize in a variety of health concerns, from weight management to eating disorders to IBS, diabetes, and more. The dietitians don't just give you a one-size-fits-all program. They provide personalized nutrition therapy through flexible online care, so it's convenient and effective for long-term behavior changes. Plus, Nourish has a great app where you can discuss strategies with your dietitian, track your symptoms, and easily manage your appointments. So if you're looking to get one-on-one RD support and to have it covered effortlessly by your insurance plan, go to usenourish.com/Abby to find a great RD fit for you. First, let's talk about everyone's favorite carnivore MD, Paul Saladino. Now, to clarify, Paul is no longer completely carnivore, but he still follows an animal-based diet that we discussed in a lot more detail right here. Even so, I do credit Paul with popularizing the carnivore diet, which has readily gained traction on the internet. My biggest problem with Paulie here is that he loves to use his MD credentials to promote an extremist diet, cherry-pick studies, and give nutrition advice that goes against the vast body of legitimate research. I'm not really sure how he's a board-certified physician nutrition specialist when he does the opposite of applying evidence-based nutrition. But yeah, this guy's list of offenses is vast. I mean, this man has compared French fries to cigarettes, promoted raw milk en masse, and has heavily fear-mongered nutritious and accessible foods like oatmeal. Let's not forget when he called butter a health food too.
Is butter a carb?
Now, I'm not saying that butter is bad. I eat butter all the time. My point is that all of Paul's claims are extremist and explicitly categorizes food into binary good and bad categories. Paul is so stringent on his animal-based clean eating that he even has a PDF on his website sorting foods into low, medium, and high toxicity. But it really only takes like a quick glance at these foods on the list to realize how ridiculously bunk this really is. Next, we've got Bobby Parrish, aka Flav City. Now, Bobby's content reeks of elitist diet culture with a side of cherry picking and hypocrisy. His favorite pastime seems to be standing in the grocery store listing off so-called toxic ingredients in safe, accessible foods to justify whether or not it is Bobby approved. Naturally, all the usual buzzwords come up on the regular. GMOs, seed oils, non-organics, sugar, you name it, resulting in most of your pantry staples getting a big fat fail. And if you think, well, what's the harm in saying that non-organics or GMOs or whatever else are bad for you? Well, firstly, It's a complete falsehood that's being consistently debunked by strong evidence, and as such, it unnecessarily increases anxiety and fear and encourages people to eliminate or reduce their consumption of nutritious food that they can access and afford. In fact, research on lower income consumers have found that this pervasive and misleading messages around organics and pesticide risk actually result in them buying less fruits and vegetables overall. So this is not helping anyone. And what's Bobby's credentials to be giving such advice? According to him, my credentials are that of an educated consumer who takes time to research what he puts into his body. If you want a scientific study, go elsewhere. That is your cue, guys. Go elsewhere. Literally anywhere else. But Bobby's advice is just flush with inconsistencies depending on who he's financially invested in or who's paying for his Bobby approved stamp. In one video, he recommends avoiding nut milks because of the added sugar, while in another, he's promoting, a nut milk with added sugar. Another red flag? His responses when asked for references to his claims and recommendations. The truth is, Bobby's references often sound a lot like a mix between just trust me and I read it here online, which, by the way, is not the same as having an academic background in anything he talks about. When he does reference a source, it's often cherry-picked or completely bogus, like the joke that is the EWG, whose recommendations have been scientifically proven to be inaccurate and deceptive. And it's one thing to poison the minds of millions of adults who follow him across platforms, but the thing that irks me the most is his exploitation of his daughter online. What 5-year-old needs 230,000 people following her and another few million watching her get force-fed toxic, ill-informed diet culture on her dad's own page? It is so sad to me to see a toddler being able to identify so-called bad ingredients in everyday accessible foods. No toddler needs to be told that something as completely benign as natural flavors are bad before she even knows how to read. We have loads of research linking problematic or restrictive parental food attitudes and behaviors to an increased risk of EDs and obesity in children. Diet culture and disordered eating just runs so easily through generations, so we have to be hyper vigilant about the way that we talk about food around our kids, whether subconsciously or consciously. And I know a lot of you guys can relate to that.
How many of you have ever felt personally victimized by Regina George?
Moving on, it doesn't get much scarier than Liver King. Honestly, Liver King is the definition of the ripped alpha male who just chomps on giant cuts of raw meat and organs. Hey, I get that as creators, we each need our distinguishing quirks, but these Liver King dinners are wild to me. Never would I ever recommend pounding back whole eggs with the shell on, or eating raw hamburger meat, or multiple steaks in one meal. And I guess to his credit, Liver King doesn't go around saying that everyone should eat the way he does. But this persona and physical image that he has built easily insinuates implicitly and often explicitly that it's all because of his heavy meat diet. Until of course it came out in December 2022 that he was lying to his followers about being on steroids. Shocker. Another influencer who wasn't being honest about what they did to maintain their physique.
That's why her hair is so big, it's full of secrets.
That should have given people all the data they needed to cancel this concept, but alas, he's still going strong. He's since built out this program to promote a series of ancestral tenets, along with a community he calls his Liver King Army that seems to position him as this guru for a hyper masculine lifestyle. And I am not going to even touch on the insane I saw in the private broadcast group he hosts, including a lot of Kepins and corn talk, not to mention videos of him actually taking growth hormone. But yeah, the whole movement is giving mad culty vibes. Obviously, I recognize that there will always be unique characters operating on the fringes of diet culture, but this movement is so problematic and dangerous, I absolutely have to call out some of the loudest, most extreme ringleaders. I'm not vegan and I do eat some meat, but you cannot deny the overwhelming science that an animal-heavy diet is neither good for our health or the health of our planet. Not to mention, in this economy, Please, folks, let's use our brains here. Turning the page to our female section, we've got Vani Hari, or Food Babe. Now, if there is one person out there determined to take down big food, it's Food Babe. Just take one look at her Instagram and you will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's filled with post after post of fear-mongering foods, dissecting ingredient lists for words that she can't pronounce, and making claims about additives being toxic without qualifying the dose. And yes, I have debunked a lot of this right here, but Food Babe does not have a background in science, which she actually admits to herself. But instead, she calls herself an investigator. Unfortunately, this lack of training leads her to completely misinterpret the literature to reinforce her own agenda and to exploit the similarly lack of training and knowledge in her followers as well. Marion Nestle, renowned NYU nutrition professor, really said it best in one interview.
And I think the real charge against Vani Hari is that she removes the nuances and therefore turns these things into something that's black or white, very easy for people to understand, but not necessarily accurate.
Yes. Way to hit the nail on the head. And last but definitely not least, we've got Miss Gwyneth Paltrow, the OG wellness guru.
But I can't help it that I'm popular.
So Gwyneth Paltrow is probably one of the most infamous and problematic wellness misinformation grifters there ever was. She's been doing this for decades and has shown no sign of slowing down, including last year's viral interview where she revealed that all she ate was coffee, bone broth, and a small paleo dinner. Some of the products that Goop has showcased in the past include coffee enemas, a jade egg that goes up your hoo-ha, and lots of sexual wellness products like this $15,000 vibrator. You guys know I love my coffee, but in this hole. Preferably. That jade egg, by the way, landed Gwyneth in a $145,000 lawsuit for false claims and advertising. And it's more than likely that Goop is trolling us or rage baiting for views. But at this point, it's safe to say that Gwyneth's idea of wellness is way out of touch and dangerous. I'm begging her to unhook herself from the IV drip and touch some grass. The bigger problem with Goop is that its crazy claims about products and therapies can actually dissuade people from seeking the pharmaceutical help or medical treatment that they actually need. Remember when Goop promoted the body vibe stickers that supposedly helped to reduce anxiety? Not evidence-based. Gwyneth also shared how she was recovering from long COVID using cleanses, superfood powders, and all of her favorite products that she peddled online. No evidence for any of these as COVID cures either, by the way. And listen, I am all for functional medicine, including traditional practices like Ayurveda. But Gwyneth, like so many other wellness grifters, plays to our fear of authority, including traditional Western medicine, but strictly for her own profit, which can be devastating for folks who need evidence-based care and who cannot afford to take a chance on some bogus celebrity-endorsed homeopathic remedy. So yes, Gwyneth, you are officially in the burn book. And that brings us to the end of our burn book. Or is it? Obviously, there are so many other problematic people who could make their way into the book right now. So if you want a part 2, leave me a comment below. And I just want to note that I share these names not to be a mean girl myself. I actually have nothing against these people as people. Gwyneth and I could be besties in real life for all I know. But I call these names out as brands and as massive platforms who have hurt a lot of people and are actively still causing harm. You might not think it's that serious, but one day someone goes to the hospital for following a TikTok hack and another person decides to skip their cancer treatment for an alternative practice that ultimately will not help. Maybe someone out there gets so overwhelmed with all the toxic food in the grocery store that they simply stop eating. If you think it's not that bad, think again. We need to do better. We need to think critically and we need to trust the professionals who are promoting evidence-based medicine and nutrition. But anyway, I could rant on all day about the crazy claims on the internet, but we will have to get to that next week. Make sure you subscribe and I will see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye!